Hello, everyone, and welcome to the annual Latke Hamentaschen debate. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Madeline LeBeau, and I'm the Vice President of Programming here at the Center for Jewish Life in the Student Board. And I am so happy to see so many people here on this special night. Now, you might be asking yourself, why is this night different from all other nights? On this night, we do not recline. We do not dip. We don't sing about goats. But it is upon this night we bear witness to a debate for the ages, a debate ongoing since the European discovery of the potato, the creation of prune filling, and the last time that Yale was rated #1 by US News and World Report. Tonight, we embark on our annual quest to try to resolve the profound and weighty, well, depending on your recipe, question as to which reigns supreme, the Latke or the Hamentaschen. As one can imagine, this sort of topic evokes strong emotions. To ensure a civil and fair fight, our highly qualified, esteemed moderator, Dean Jill Dolan, will be keeping order. Dean Dolan is no stranger to this debate. In 2015, she adeptly represented the Latke in her famous face-off against Professor Gordon, where, among her other arguments that fabled evening, she eloquently asserted that Latkes are to Judaism what apple pie is to America, describing Latkes as an ethnic dish as metaphorically redolent with associations and meaning as Norman Rockwell's paintings of flaky apple pie cooling on the American windowsills. Just in case you were wondering, I know I was. Despite her personal affection for the Latke, Dean Dolan's broad base of culinary knowledge and her unfailing pursuit of truth and her unfailing pursuit of delicious snacks are just the beginning of her qualifications for her role this evening. Among her responsibilities as dean for the college, she's responsible for all matters relating to the curriculum. Princeton's diverse course offerings this semester include food, culture, and society, economics of food and agriculture, the future of food, and if you speak Italian, and if you only speak Italian, the literature of gastronomy. Dean Dolan knows a thing or two about great literature. She is the Annan Professor in English and a Professor of Theater Studies in the Lewis Center for the Arts. Impressive as that is, Dean Dolan has outdone herself by being the author of the most read and most critically analyzed new work over the past 2 years. As co-author of the 8-volume set, The Mysterious COVID-19 Memoranda, Dean Dolan has unconventionally released portions of this work at seemingly random intervals over the past 2 years, both confounding and delighting readers and fans everywhere. I mean, look at these great reviews, right? She is a legend, a scholar, and a literary artiste. It is now my great honor to turn the podium over to our 2022 debate moderator, Dean Jill Dolan.
I'm really delighted to be here. Thank you, Madeline. That was wonderful. And I so appreciate you calling attention to my multi-volume sets. They're now at the top of my curriculum vita, and I hope will be buried shortly after. I am really happy to see you all tonight. I am honored to be moderating this debate. I'm also quite pleased that you quoted some of my remarks from the last time I was up on this this podium, which I found really a whole lot of fun. But moderating, I have to tell you, I feel the weight of the moment as I speak to you. I also want to say it's really great to see you here in person, finally in person, with and without masks, which is just wonderful, as well as a hello to those of you who are joining us on Zoom. If nothing else, Zoom has opened these rooms to people who, for whatever reason, can't be with us, and I'm actually quite grateful for that. I want to thank Madeline for her work organizing this evening, as well as all the other folks at CJL who helped put this together. It's really, really wonderful to be here. Just a bit of history. I didn't know this myself, and thought I would share with you that this debate has been going on since 1946 at the University of Chicago, which is where it started. And it's been staged at Chicago every single year since, which is really quite remarkable. Princeton and many other schools around the country started participating, I believe, later. And unfortunately, maybe somebody from CJL knows how long it's been happening here. But 1946 is quite a long history for this debate. There's actually a book published from Chicago that collects some of the various debates. And there, the professors who participate have to wear academic regalia as they debate. I'm very glad that we don't do that, I have to say. I'm glad our costumes can be more pedestrian than quotidian, because essentially it is the honored symbols of Jewish cuisine that are the most important feature of this debate. And soon we will be able to decide which one will prevail this year. Now, I see some of you have signs. Feel free to wave them. Don't wait until the last minute to register your opinions about what you hear happening after that. So, the logistics for the evening, I will introduce our four speakers. We will do a coin toss to decide who goes first or second, after which point the two professors will present first, followed by their student partners. You will all vote, and we will prepare to refreshments. So, without further ado, speaking today on behalf of the lovely Latke, to my left, we have Molly Lipkin, who is a first-year student from Teaneck, New Jersey. College. She is also a member of the Fuzzy Dice Improv Troupe. Also for the Latke, we have Dr. Philip Zakovich, who teaches modern Hebrew in the Department of Near Eastern Studies. He also writes on historical linguistics and philology with a focus on biblical Hebrew. I don't feel like some of you are in this class. As ancient Semitic languages such as Akkadian, Ugaritic, and Aramaic. Welcome. Speaking on behalf of the humble Hamentaschen, we have John Ailing, who is a sophomore majoring in English and a proud citizen of the Forbes Annex. Yeah. Of Fuzzy Dice. Also speaking on behalf of the Hamentaschen, we have Professor Gavin Steinville, who is an associate professor and director of undergraduate studies in the Department of Music. Originally from South Africa, Gavin first came to the US to study composition at the New England Conservatory of Music, where he was also, and this is a little known but relevant fact, president of the conservatory's Hillel. Unfortunately, got to plan the annual Seder, his presidency did not last long. Now he is in the US here at Princeton and participating in this debate, he has indeed redeemed himself. Which Philip has agreed to call, and I just have to execute. And it is indeed tails. So you have the choice of going first or deferring to your colleagues and going second.
I'll go second.
In a surprise twist, our Hamentaschen colleagues will go first.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't see. Probably this. I think this one there. Yeah. This. No. Not this one. I think it's this one. Yeah. That's it. Yep. That's his name. Okay. And music, why is it difficult work? You think the music will work? Okay. Hello. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here today. Truly an honor to be in the presence of Dean Jill Dolan, the students, and the ghosts of many dead white men. So this is a serious topic today. So I present to you 3 theses on the Hamentaschen by Gavin Steingo, Department of Music. So, the first thesis, the Hamentaschen has a superior form. So to understand what I mean by this, I need to introduce you to the concept of the golden ratio, which some of you may know. 2 numbers, and I actually need to read this because I don't remember. 2 numbers are in the golden ratio if the ratio of the sum of numbers AB divided by the larger number A is equal to the ratio of the larger number divided by the smaller number AB. Right. So this is from an article called The Golden Ratio and the Beauty of Nature. And as this image shows, the golden ratio is found in all of nature's most beautiful structures, like the seashell, this brown acorn, this obviously made up tree, these weird lines, and a tornado. I also want to emphasize that it is objective science. And it is just a coincidence that all of the faces you find online with golden ratio happen to be Aryan white women with blonde hair and blue eyes. So I just want to emphasize, golden ratio face is not racist. Hashtag golden ratio face not racist. I did not make this image. These are all found images. Scholars have been working on this topic for quite some time. So let's now get to the Hamentaschen. I promised you to explain to you. So I'm a musicologist. So I come here today with knowledge of musical structure and form. As you can see in another seminal work, Angelica Frey's 5 classical pieces with the golden ratio on cmuse.org. The theme from Beethoven's 5th Symphony is the golden ratio. One does wonder why Beethoven is always used and not Mendelssohn. I do detect some anti-Semitism in the archives, but we'll overlook that for now. Of course, as you can see, the Hamentaschen conforms to the form of the golden ratio. So I could rest my case now after 1 thesis, but I have 2 more. And I'll just now, as a point of comparison, I needed to show you this slide I use in all of my classes because it shows you the structure, the beautiful structures in our worlds. The violin, the Mona Lisa, the Hamentaschen. Now, as a point of comparison, look at what is that? It's a mess. It's a total mess. There's no form. What is that? I mean, look at this thing. But actually, it's making me kind of hungry, so I think I should move on because it actually looks tasty. Okay, so the second thesis is that the sound of the word is superior. And I will prove this to you again in a similar matter that I did with my previous example. This is the actual website of the Music Cognition Lab at Princeton. I did not make this joke. This is the actual homepage. So I just want to mention that. So in my studies that I did at this lab to prove, well, I wasn't trying to prove that the Hamentaschen was superior. That would be biased going in, but I did find that out eventually. I did what any scientist would do with using empirical evidence, and I did infant baby experiments. And this is a picture I found from an Etsy website where they make bris yarmulkes. So that's just an aside. I think the yarmulke goes on the head. I'm not totally sure. Okay. So this, oh, that I didn't plan that joke. I'm sorry. That was horrible. I shouldn't have, I don't know where that came from. That was bad. Okay. But these infant experiments are very tried and tested approach. So what did we do in these experiments? Well, first I had Professor Dean Dolan come in and whisper the word Hamentaschen in the ears of 36-month-old babies. And they smiled so beautifully and their breathing was relaxed. Then I had my assistant, John Ayling, come in. He got really close to the babies and whispered, Latke, Latke. And there was a palpable sense of displeasure on their face. And some of them even started to hyperventilate. So I think that proves beyond doubt what the research showed is that the Hamentaschen sounds good and Latke, the word sounds bad. I think it's indisputable. Okay, moving finally to my last thesis. The Hamentaschen, I mean, you should already know this considering its incredible proportions, but it does inspire great music and art. And I will just give you one example here today of a tremendous piece of music that I think you should all be familiar with. So I see this as a pedagogical opportunity, actually, to introduce you to the Hamentaschen song. And I hope that it will the sound will come through. Can you turn it up somehow? Sure. Where's even the speaker? It sounds like it's coming out of there, so it should be possible. It sounds like it's coming from a speaker up there, so. I sense some foul play here with the organizers trying to sabotage my presentation. Well, we can get, she's saying, eat my Hamentaschen. It's very delicious Hamentaschen. Eat my Hamentaschen. It's okay, I'll tell you. It's okay, you don't have to. Eat my Hamentaschen. It's a very delicious Hamentaschen. Eat my Hamentaschen. Yeah, eat my Hamentaschen. It's a very delicious Hamentaschen. You can see the glee of the edible Hamentaschen. Okay, there's some of this. Okay, I'll talk you through because there's no sound. It's okay. Okay. So I'll just push it a bit forward just so you can see. And I tell you should look this up at home because it's a fantastic. Okay, I'll take it a little bit ahead. This is the places that the Hamentaschen can be eaten. Eat my Hamentaschen. So I'm not sure if you can hear that. Okay, it's okay. Okay. So I'm not sure. I'm just telling you the words. It's I don't understand. Okay. Anyway, so I should add. This is a very good song. So I should add that there is no golden ratio in the structure of this piece, alas. However, I actually want to end with a bonus thesis on the Hamentaschen, which I didn't mention, that it is the most feminist and sex positive of all the pastries. Thank you.
Well, good evening. Before I begin, I want to thank a few people. I'm grateful to the Center for Jewish Life for making this event possible. I thank everyone in the audience. I see many of my current students and my previous students. It's very exciting that they are here to uphold the honor of the Latke. I'm grateful to my current student, Amalia Lopkin, who is joining me in the good fight to defend the Latke. I'm grateful to Madeline. Here we are, Madeline, who extended the invitation for me to speak here. I'm grateful to the kind words of introduction that Dean Dolan said about me, words that I appreciate and that I agree with. Because I wrote them and asked her to read them. I'm also very grateful. Well, I guess I'm thankful. I guess it's good. Well, it's good to see you, Professor Gavin Steingo and John Elling. Now, I want to notify everyone that the slideshow that I have will be available afterwards if you need it. But as Dean Dolan pointed out in her elegant introduction, with which I agree and I appreciate, I research and I teach Hebrew language. So my presentation today will include arguments that stem from the field of Hebrew language and Hebrew Bible. But before I begin, I'd like to notify you now and perhaps warn you that for my arguments to be fully appreciated, I will deliver them in the dialect of Eastern Europe. Why Eastern Europe, you may ask? Because this is the dialect that is most closely associated with the origins of the Latke. Now, lest someone here accuse me of cultural appropriation by using this dialect, I would have you know that my 4 grandparents are from Eastern Europe. My parents are from Eastern Europe, and I myself am from Eastern Europe. From Riga, Latvia. So if I have culturally appropriated anything, it is the American dialect, not my native Eastern European dialect. So with my disclaimers and pleasantries aside, we turn to the question at hand, which is better, the Latke or the Hamentaschen? This is indeed a question of ultimate importance. But where do we turn to answer this question? Do we turn to the music department? Do we turn to philosophy? Perhaps each of these fields can offer a unique perspective on this question. But today I will invoke 4 arguments based on the Bible, based on ancient Hebrew inscriptions, epigraphic evidence, based on linguistics, and based on Midrashic evidence. So we will begin with biblical evidence. Now I ask you, are the Latke or the Hamentaschen mentioned in the biblical text? And you may say no, and you would be right. However, that is not the end of the story. Let's look closer at the recipes of the Latke and the Hamentaschen. This is the recipe of the Hamentaschen. As you see, 5.5 cups of all-purpose flour. This is the main ingredient. Okay. And what is the word for flour in Hebrew? It's kemach. Can we say it together? Kemach. Sound great. You didn't even take my class and you sound great. Okay, and the Hebrew word is kemach, great. And the most prevalent ingredient of the latke, in addition to the 5 potatoes, is oil. And what is the word for oil? Shemen. So now let's see how many times does kemach, flour, and shemen occur in the biblical text. So we have kemach here. This is all the occurrences in the red. 14 times in 10 books. That's pretty good. But how many times does oil appear in the biblical text? And I just remembered now, this is unscripted, I'm forgetting to use my Eastern European dialect. So I will introduce it now. How many times does shemen appear in the Hebrew Bible? 193 times. 26 books. That is 13.7 times more occurrences than flour. Now I ask you, ladies and gentlemen, which of the two, flour or oil, has the more preferred status in the Bible? Well, let's just do the math. Oil, of course. And why oil? Isn't it clear? To cook latkes? Ladies and gentlemen, what am I saying here? I'm saying that if the Jewish people are the chosen people according to the Bible, then the latke is the chosen food product according to the Bible. But perhaps biblical evidence is not enough. Perhaps you think, erroneously, that the high frequency of the word shemen does not in and of itself point to the reality that ancient Israelites were frying latkes. Perhaps you want to see evidence from the ground. Perhaps the number 14 and 193 means nothing to you. Then I invite you to look at the evidence from ancient Hebrew inscriptions. Epigraphic evidence. Before you see a slide of some inscriptions from ancient Israel. We have royal inscriptions. We have day-to-day correspondence, for instance, the Lachish letters. Now, what is the distribution of flour, kemach, and oil, shemen, in these texts from the ground? Epigraphic Hebrew. We have 10 occurrences of kemach, flour, all from one site in the south. And we have shemen 31 times in 3 sites, Arad, Samaria, and Jerusalem, in the north, in the south, and in the middle. Now, ladies and gentlemen, maybe some ancient Israelites were indeed baking Hamentaschen in some provincial town. But what were they eating in the north, in the south, and what were they eating in Jerusalem? The latke, which is the preferred food product, not only in the biblical text, but also in epigraphic evidence. Now, perhaps you still doubt that the latke is superior. Perhaps you still doubt that the latke is superior to a triangular pastry that is stuffed with processed sugar and overly sweet fruits. But stay with me, and you will no doubt be persuaded by my following arguments. Now, to grasp the full meaning of this argument, I need to explain a little bit of the structure of the Hebrew language. So Hebrew, like all other Semitic languages, is based on a root system. You see here the root KTB, or in Hebrew kaftaf bet. We see words like he wrote, katav, words like was written, nichtav, or in the nouns letter, michtav, or ktiv, spelling. So you see that the entire Hebrew language is based on a root system. Now you may wonder, how is this relevant? Oh, is it relevant? How so? in the following manner. Let me ask you, which of the two, the Latke or the Hamentaschen, is more like a root? Well, the answer is obvious. Latkes are made of potatoes and Hamentaschen are made of wheat. And where, may I ask, does a potato grow? And where, may I ask, does wheat grow? Well, I think you get my drift. It is the potato, not the wheat, that belongs to the family of root vegetables such as carrots, onions, beets, and turnips. Okay? So, ladies and gentlemen, as the latke, as a product of the potato, is traceable back to the root of the potato. Likewise, Hebrew is in its structure entirely based on a root system. So what am I saying? I'm saying that the latke and the potato are inalienably linked with the root system of Hebrew. I have 3 arrows to prove my point. Now, as a member of the family of root vegetables, the potato, and by extension the latke, is the foundation of the entire Hebrew system. Without the latke, we have no Hebrew. And you want to tell me that a stale, dry cookie, which causes heart disease, is superior to the latke? Oy vey. And oy gewalt. But perhaps you are still unpersuaded. Perhaps you are still stiff-necked and are unwilling to accept the truth of the superiority of the latke. Then I ask you to hear one more piece of evidence. And if this does not convince you, then you are beyond hope. Ladies and gentlemen, we turn to Midrashic evidence. And more specifically, we turn to the Torah. And more specifically, we turn to the book of Genesis. And more specifically, we turn to Genesis 1:1 itself. We turn to the very act of creation. Before you see the very first verse of the Bible. It reads as follows in English: in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. In Hebrew, Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. Now I ask you, what did God create first? The heavens or the earth? Let's take a closer look. We see the verse broken down according to the English, according to the Hebrew, the transcription, and you see that the words line up. And I ask again, what did God create first? The heavens or the earth? We see another slide of the verse that has some red text. And my question remains, what did God create first? You see in the English translation, in the beginning, God created et, which is a small little particle, the heavens, and et, the earth. So what did God create first? Is it the heavens? Is it the earth? We see the slide again with the correct answer in red and underlined. And the question remains, what did God create first? The answer is et. And you may wonder, so what? I will explain. God created et first. Now, you may ask, what is et? Well, in grammar terms, it's a 2-letter particle or preposition. That's kind of the obvious answer. But what does et symbolize or signify? That is the more important question. Please follow along in this very interesting Midrashic interpretation. Et, as you see, stands for the 2 letters, which are called Tav and Aleph, which are equivalent to English Chi and A. So you may ask, why is this important? Oh, it is important. Do you see that the Tav and the Aleph are equivalent to the first two letters of the words tapuach adama, which is the Hebrew word for potato, do I need to explain myself? Is it not self-evident that et refers to the potato? And when I ask, what did God create first? The answer is obviously the potato. I rest my case.
And now back to the Hamentaschen. John.
Oh, sorry, I missed it. Thank you very much.
Someone with ailing. Yes. Thank you very much. Present. Do you need a?
Here you go.
Excellent. Hello. Yes, hello. My name is John, and in case you didn't hear my introduction, I am a sophomore in the English department studying English. And, you know, while I am told that by studying English, I have zero job prospects following my graduation, I am not troubled at all, since through my studies, I am quickly becoming a master of rationalizing my own hastily conceived and poorly written arguments. So I'm actually extremely happy then, for once, to apply my newfound powers of literary might to a position that is logical from the outset, that the Hamentaschen is superior to the Latke, like way superior. Now, the thing is, I did have to think a bit because I could go about illustrating this natural gastronomical conclusion in any number of myriad ways. However, in honor of my major, which of course is going to be the intellectual foundation for how I think for the rest of my earthly days, I have decided to prove the might of the Hamentaschen through the rigorous scientific lens of poetry. But first, a digression of elucidation. You see, in the English metric poetry tradition, poems are made up of lines, which in turn are made up of feet, which are made up of words, which in turn are made up of syllables. And these syllables can be stressed or unstressed. A foot in poetry, in case you are confused, is a pattern of these stressed and unstressed syllables. For example, in the word debate, it has two syllables. Duh is unstressed and bait is stressed. Debate. Together, they make a foot that goes ba-bum. This is just one type of foot. There are many other feet. Some go ba-bum, some bumpa, some bum-bapa, and some ba-ba-bum. But they all have very silly names like truckee, dactyl, spondy, amphibrac, and molossus. Now, the foot that goes ba-bum is called an iamb and is used to create the most famous meter in the English language. Of course, iambic pentameter, for my lit buffs out there. Iambic pentameter sounds like this. Ba-bum, 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 ba-bum. While admittedly it sounds silly when I put it like that, people just seem to like the way it thumps around. It has been used in such famous sentences as to be or not to be, that is the question, or we hold these truths to be self-evident, or the Hamentaschen's better than the Latke. That is iambic pentameter. As you can hear, the Hamentaschen is the perfect word for iambic pentameter. It's just Hamentaschen. Don't you hear the bumpa bumpa Hamentaschen? Its prosodic perfection just rolls out of my mouth. Hamentaschen. Now, to be precise, Hamentaschen is really a word formed by the joining of two trochee feet that each go bumpa, but that's neither here nor there. It's a perfect word and therefore a perfect food. But don't take it from me. Take it from my friend William Shakespeare, a huge fan of the Hamentaschen. This is from Act 3, Scene 1 of Macbeth, where Macbeth says, Hamentaschen, Hamentaschen, Hamentash, creeps in this petty pastry, Hamentash, to the last syllable of Hamentaschen, and all our Hamentaschen lighted fools the way to Hamentaschen. In Hamentaschen. The Latke's but a walking shadow, a poor pancake that struts and frets his hour on the plate and then is eaten no more. It is a food eaten by an idiot, full of empty calories, signifying nothing. Now, there is another fan, you may know him, Edgar Allan Poe, another historical fan of the Hamentaschen. He took them filled with, They are kin in the literary tradition, and yes, they are white men. Edgar Allan Poe took them filled with squid ink, which is, the darkest and therefore most emotional substance available, because he tended to run rather mopey. His poem, The Raven, dealt exclusively with Hamentaschen, and of course, I will read from it now. Once upon a midnight rotten, sat I eating Hamentaschen, o'er many a quaint and curious volume of Hamentaschen lore. While I gobbled, nearly napping, suddenly there came a flapping, as of latkes gently slapping at my chamber door. "'Tis Hamentaschen," I muttered, flapping at my chamber door. "Hamentaschen and nothing more." He had a way with words, but he's not the last. Walt Whitman came after him, and he too was an esteemed fan of the Hamentaschen, and he wrote his poem, "O Captain, My Captain," after a extended Purim baking session with then President of the United States, Abraham Lincoln. Of course, "O Captain, my Captain, the Hamentaschen are done. They're sitting cooling on the rack. The prize we've sought is won. Dessert is near. Dinner bells I hear. My stomach all exulting, while follow eyes the Hamentaschen, the filling rich and daring. But oh heart, oh bleeding drops of red. Asleep on deck my captain lies. He ate all my Hamentaschen." And of course, where would we be in poetics without the haiku? Hamentaschen, woo! I sure do like to eat them up. Hamentaschen, woo! And so for my final point, oh dear. Well, I suppose it's time. We of the secret order of the Hamentaschen here have labored to bring our position to the fullest appreciation. May our efforts bear fruit. Praise Hamentaschen. Not many supporters, I see. Yes, thank you, supporters. That is all.
Molly for the Latke.
Well, before I begin, I would like to thank Professor Philip Zakovich for his amazing presentation on the Latke, and also the other team who presented on something. Yeah. All right, now, I know you all came here expecting to be enriched in your mind with facts and logic and old-fashioned verse form poetry. But what if somebody were here to inspire your heart? Now, some of you may not know this, but I was actually quite into slam poetry in high school. And because John and I didn't coordinate, you'll be hearing some more poetry now. Oh, there's a microphone. That's even better. Now, throughout my years of very intense high school level poetry, I read so many modern, contemporary, very angry, free verse slam poems, and I have spent days compiling thousands, maybe millions of these poems and isolating them into their most important components, which I put up here on a list. As you can see, we have very important features such as color used as verb, extremely specific capitalist product, and so much grandmother. Now, as these poems have a way of destroying the patriarchy and freeing our minds, because I believe that poetry can open up your heart like cardiac surgery that you need from eating too many latkes, but like in a good way. I decided that what better way to win you over with an appeal to emotion than by writing an angry contemporary free verse slam poet about latkes. I hope you're ready to have your souls destroyed. Also, I will be going through the list in order as I go along, so feel free to keep track. 1, they said I was a potato. 2, they said I was lumpy, I was bumpy, I was dumpy. 3, you are a dirt thing. You are soiled with soil. We will boil you clean. But what the men didn't know was that dirt was my home, my abode, my buy it. But unless they can buy it, 1 cup of artificial dirt from Home Depot for half off, $7.99, they are blind. And they cut out my eyes, potato. You get what I did there? Yeah. My grandmother used to be beautiful. Thick, wrinkled skin, then they cut her open, white and thin, shreds of potato. Grandmother, though they cut out your eyes, did you cry when they churned you with the onion? Eggs, like yellow flowers in bloom, buttercups and marigolds drop in 1, 2. But they are not the seeds of our womb, because potatoes can't lay eggs. That's the truth. I have been battered. I am a batter of all the truth speakers that have ever never died. A sizzling. The pan ready to fry. Why? Grandmother, I will survive. Yellowing, goldening, but I am not just Midas's daughter. River water is not as cleansing as this anointing oil. I have emerged a crispy queen, and it is my fat that makes me delicious. Its sheen will gleam to our everlasting fame. And they now call me Latke, for that is my name. And they now call me Latke. For that is my name. Thank you. Now, if somehow that poem didn't blast the patriarchy from your soul, I also wrote a diss rap, if you guys want to hear that. Yeah? All right, then, let's get these Hamentaschen out of the oven because they're about to get burned. So first of all, disclaimer, I really thought there was just going to be like 5 Jews here. So if you don't get all the references I make to different media, feel free to come ask me or look it up on Wikipedia. All right. Open up for Latke, we're the one that's adored. We'll leave you all in a twist and have you begging for more. You want the house of victory, but you don't got the deed. You need a loan or a Litza to get the lot keys. Rhymes like Lynn, lock in, gonna win. And Zakovich, we're gonna put you in the doghouse and make you our friend. Because here at Princeton University, we respect one another and our different opinions. Even though some people might advocate eating the little mushed up lumps of flour, grape preserves, and children's boogers that get delivered on their doorsteps once a year. But anyway, We're creamy, crunchy, crispy, slightly salted, never sog. So stand agog as we complete with salted to agog. Hats off to you, because we know you're all ears. But the only thing you hear is everybody else's jeers. You're just a pasty pastry while we're dripping in gold. Of the oil didn't spoil when the Greeks patrolled. When it's cold, we light it up. Aurora Borealis, while you're stuck sitting simping in Persepolis Palace. You sure your name ain't Hadassah? Because I think you're turning green. Persia, Aladdin, Iago, the monster's eyes that he's seen. Your craps are crap, your lots ain't hot. You don't got luck on your side. You forget Moshe's birthday was the day when he died. We got an emperor derails using some oil dregs. So pull a Vashti, grow a tail, then stick it between your legs. You think your fun, fruity flavor might put you in the lead? You can't sweep under Persian rugs that you still got poppy seed. For your namesake's sake, I'm glad the audience decides if they want to side with the side that wanted genocide. You might be royalty, but we're Maccabees, so let's just hammer this out. We ain't got time for cookies, so take a walk, then balk. Because it tastes like chalk hard as a rock, yet you still can't smash the lock. Your sides are 1, 2, 3, we got the whole diameter. You're lucky I didn't say this rap in Iambic Pentameter.
I'm very glad I'm moderating and not voting this evening. Madeline tells me that we have a few moments for questions for those of you who might be undecided about your vote. Any questions for our panelists, performers, analyzers, arguers? Yes, please.
I just want to know, Molly, you come up with that Iambic Pentameter line like on the spot because he referenced it. Like,
Sure, let's go with that.
How does the Latke team respond to the Hamentaschen the ability to take on many forms with flavors, and ability to adapt itself to its consumer?
It claims that it can adapt, but I mean, we've all had different kinds of Hamentaschen. Prove ones exist, okay? Just because you can do it doesn't mean you should.
Yes. Oh, you want to respond?
Yeah, I would just like to say, I don't think anyone would want to eat a prune mashed into an oily pound of potato.
Oh, that's because we don't do it.
Yes.
How does the Hamentaschen team respond to their association with genocide?
We're very sorry.
Is everyone ready to vote? Madeline,
All right.
how do we do that?
Yes. We have a QR code that is going to be on the screen momentarily. Boom. Okay. Oops. Well, everyone's taking a moment to vote, and we're about to announce the winner as you all vote. But as we are voting, I would like to give a big shout out to Dean Dolan, our wonderful moderator, to Team Hamentaschen, Philip and Molly, and to Team Latke. All right, you guys have like 30 more seconds to vote.
This is a very tough decision. This is an amazing video. One of the most sophisticated and passionate, textually, performatively eloquent debates I've ever seen happen in this room on this. Take your time, be careful. Drum roll. Okay, we have the results. Let me see if I can read the graph. The winner is Hamentaschen.
I want to read out. No.
It's the other way around.
Don't steal this from us. Do not. Do not.
That's the award moment. You know when the wrong film was announced for the winner that year? I took that here. I told her I can't read that. I was wrong up the point time. My apologies. Okay, don't tweet this. The winner of the debate is the Latke.